use a 10mm wrench to go ahead and loosen and remove the terminal here for the battery. Let's go ahead and loosen that up. Using a 12mm gear wrench, we're going to go ahead and loosen this nut right here on the power steering pump. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this adjuster bolt right here. I'm going to use a 12mm socket and ratchet and loosen our lower bolt on the power steering pump. With that bolt loose, we should be able to pivot our power steering pump. And we'll remove our belt from the pump itself. With the belt off, we're going to go ahead and try and remove our bolts here to get the pump up and out. Now at this point, with that belt off, we're now going to go ahead and get that bolt out as far as we can. And just a nut on that one there. We're going to go ahead and remove the adjuster by continuing to remove that bolt we had loosened earlier. Remove the nut off of that there. Now we're going to remove this bolt here, holding the adjuster bracket in place. I'm just removing our adjuster bracket and bolt right here. Set that aside. Now our whole pump is loose. What we have to do now is take the pump and our reservoir out together. There was a connecting hose that goes from the pump to the reservoir, and then the reservoir has another line that goes towards the back. Now we're going to pull this up, we're going to set it aside. It is full of power steering fluid, so you want to make sure that any of the fluid does not leak out and get onto the paint of the vehicle. I'm going to grab our reservoir, pull it up out of its bracket. Hopefully we can get this out together. And bring this up. Go ahead and set that aside. And we have a big cloth on the side here. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove the nut holding the pulley to the pump. Go ahead and remove the pulley. Set that aside. Now we're going to take our reservoir and the pump. We're going to put this right into a drain bucket here. And we're going to go ahead and start to remove our hoses. You want to have a catch can. Make sure that none of this power steering fluid leaks out and gets on your paint. If it does, clean it off immediately. But let's go ahead and start to remove these hoses. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove both of these bolts. this here. Gonna have our new pump ready to go. Line this up, pop it in, and let's get our bolts back in and installed. And snug those down. I'm going to go ahead and compress this clamp, move that down. And work this hose off. I'll put my thumb over the hose. Take our new pump, slide the hose onto that, take our pliers, put the clamp on. Okay, give this a quick wipe down. We can remove our drain bucket or our catch can. Now we want to swap over our hardware. Going to install our pulley on here. And we tighten that down. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring our power steering pump over. We have our horizontal bolt here. Let's remove the nut off of that. All right, we're going to install our lower bolt down. Install the bolt in the adjuster slot down below, and I'll feed that through the bottom eyelet of the power steering pump. I'm going to get and install the nut on the front side of it and just get it started a few threads. Install our pivot bolt here. And get the nut started on the back side here. Get it started a few threads, and then for the upper mount we're going to install our little bolt up top here. At this point, we can go ahead and snug this bolt down right here. Let's go ahead and tighten down this nut a little bit more. This is our pivot bolt or slide bolt here. Now we don't want to make it too tight because we want to make sure that this can still move up and down freely. Now go ahead and install your belt. Feed this down. I'm going to get it around your power steering pump. And come down through the wheel well area. Feed that onto your crank. Let's go ahead and tighten this bolt right here. That'll bring the power steering pump up, tightening the belt. Go ahead and tighten this up. You want to have about 1/4 of an inch of play in the middle of the belt. Push down and pull up. Once you feel that you have the right tension, let's go ahead and tighten down this nut here and our lower nut and bolt. All right, snug that down. We're going to double check our belt tension. And it is a little bit tighter than what we want. So let's go ahead and loosen this. And we're going to repeat our tightening process. We're going to loosen the belt a little bit. Perfect. Let's go ahead and tighten up that lower bolt. We're using our gear wrench in this spot due to the clearance or a lack of clearance we have. I'll go ahead and snug that down. So once it bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. There we go. You want to take your reservoir, slide that up and place that into your bracket. Push it down into place. You want to make sure that your hoses are popped into their retainers in the back here. Just press those down into place. Go ahead and grab your ground cable here. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. Now over at your power steering pump, you want to go ahead and open up the cap for the reservoir here. Do a visual inspection. When we replaced the pump, we did lose power steering fluid from the pump itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start up the vehicle. We're going to watch the fluid here and we're going to add accordingly. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and start the vehicle, and we want to watch on the side of the reservoir tank. We have our high and low line. Once we start this up and start cycling the power steering fluid through, we're going to go ahead and eyeball that fluid and make sure we're at the right level. With the vehicle running, go ahead and open up your power steering reservoir cap. Just do an inspection down inside, see if the fluid level is where it needs to be. We didn't lose too much fluid when we removed the original pump. We just had a little bit of fluid that was in the pump itself. We reinstalled the hoses and put it back together. Our fluid looks pretty good. Might require just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn the steering wheel back and forth to the left and right, and then we'll check that fluid again. So once we cycled everything through, our fluid level is in fact just a little bit low. We're gonna put a funnel on this here and go ahead and pour a little bit of fluid in. Make sure you have this all protected. You don't want to get power steering fluid on any of the paint or surfaces. If you do, clean it up as quick as you can. Once you're at the level you need to be, go ahead and put the cap on and remove all your rags.